And as always again, we have been joined by Prathamesh Malia and Tapan Patel on the show here to give us insights into what we should be bracing ourselves, or I should say what we should be expecting on the commodities here. It has been a sort of good long trade over the oil prices over the last few sessions. Base metals again, they have been seeing some correction here. Gold also again some correction. So Prathamesh, coming to you first, let's talk about oil prices here. Couple of global news again. On one side again, we actually are seeing some sort of uncertainty around the Iran again, whether the US again is going to reimpose the sanctions on Iran, what's going to happen, or whether again there is going to be an amicable settlement here. So what's your own sense, and what's a good strategy on the oil prices at present?
Piyush, I think the sanctions on Iran and the discussions on it has been there for quite some time now, and I think the outcome of which would be possibly decided on May 12th, wherein US President is going to take a call on what to do with Iran sanctions on hand. But at present, I think oil markets, there is no disturbance in supplies or from any part of the world. When taken into consideration, I think oil prices at this levels are not justified, and we see correction in this particular counter. WTI trading at around 67-68 mark. I think the correction is probably bound towards $65, which is possibly a fall of $3 from here on. While on the MCX, you can see it moving towards 4,440 mark. At present, it is trading at 4,560, 4,580 mark. So I think we will be seller at this particular levels, and then wait for target towards 4,400. So I will seller in oil.
Right, Prathamesh, just a follow-up question here. If you are expecting WTI to fall almost $3 here, that's almost a good 4 to 5% correction if I just extrapolate it. On MCX again, that correction basically should be leading to almost 150 points to 200 points correction. So, which means you are saying that perhaps 4350, 4400, those levels should be coming by here. Like, what would be that sort of main support which you perhaps would be looking at as a turning point here?
I think it would be around 4440. It could be kind of make or break situation because rupee is continuously on the depreciating side in India, which is what makes a little bit concerned about the fall on the MCX. But I think correction seems to be there on the cards. If not 150, I would at least see 100, 120 rupees fall on the MCX.
Right, and one question: how much comfortable you are at present on the rupee trend here? Because euro is weakening, pound is weakening, dollar is going higher, and if the dollar is going higher, then there are only two scenarios. Because of dollar uptrend, the commodities, they don't fall, even if the global commodities are seeing some mild correction here. And second, again, if the rupee doesn't fall, then perhaps the weakness actually could be accentuated here. So what's your take on the rupee here?
I think rupee is again at a very crucial mark around 67, and taking into consideration the factors wherein the US dollar is continuously getting stronger vis-a-vis other currencies, GBP, Euro, and this trend seems to be going wherein the US dollar is continuously getting stronger vis-a-vis other currencies, GBP, Euro, and this trend seems to be going higher with taking into consideration the set of economic factors from the US, where it is continuously on the growing path, and with interest rate hikes being there on the cards in 2018, I think the trend for dollar is setting higher, and vis-a-vis if you're looking at rupee, I think 67 mark would possibly be broken. I think we would very soon see 67.5, but then again you'll see a lot of volatility once it crosses the 67 mark. So I think a lot of importers and exporters would be action once it reaches that particular mark. So yes, in coming days, high volatility expected in rupee.
Right, Prathamesh, one more question on oil before actually we start talking about gold here. Is that a dip perhaps should be temporary in nature, because there are two moving parts here. One again basically is we are going to see some good strong seasonal maintenance season for the Chinese refiners here in Asia, perhaps some sort of lower demand from them. But broadly again, in June again on the US side, on the western side, there was expectation that demand perhaps will be higher here. So how are you looking as a trend from April to May here?
Piyush, I think oil markets have a lot of fundamental factors being taken into consideration, and April to May being just factually it is 3 months, but taking into consideration the set of factors involved with considering Iran sanctions being there. Yes, you rightly mentioned China's seasonal maintenance. I think volatility is there to remain, and 3 months would be possibly a year when you're talking about oil prices. So if I would be a trader or investor in oil, I wouldn't really hold oil prices for so long, because oil at this level 68 for WTI and 72 for Brent, and it's really not justified at this levels, and hence correction seems to be there on the cards. But we really need to see how Iran sanctions being factored out is something which I would possibly take a call on how the prices are moving forward from here on. But yes, if you're asking me a range, I think for WTI 70 would be on the higher side and lower side would be around 65 in the near term is what we're looking at.
Right, so that's the word coming here. And Tapan, Prathamesh, what's your view on the gold prices here, especially again when we're looking at strengthening of the US dollar? And but there is one more aspect here. If I look at the MCX gold again, it has been moving in a range, in a broader range, because if I compare to the gold dollar, that tells me 1300, 1350, $50 range again we have been playing with. So just looking at the chart, that tells me perhaps 1300, that could be providing a sort of entry point here. But then when you look at dollar, you start actually developing hesitation here. So what's the view here?
Piyush, yes, I think rightly mentioned 1300 and 1350 are the is a particular range that international gold prices are moving vis-a-vis. If you look at MCX gold prices, again it is 31,000 and 31,700. So again broadly vis-a-vis you take into consideration rupee depreciation, which is really holding the fall here. But I would be a seller in gold, taking into consideration the risk factor being out of the markets with every other uncertainty being eased. I think gold would not sustain at this particular levels. I think 30,950 is what we're looking at as far as near-term price action in gold is concerned. I think we would be seller in gold at around 31,400 mark or 31,500. So I think the best in gold is to be remain on the sell side for target low towards 30,950 or followed by 30,800.
So keep negative bias on the gold prices, but be cognizant of the rupee action also here. Prathamesh, anything which you like at present in terms of buy or sell, or your view again on the base metals here? Those again have been thick of the action, but after the recent correction in aluminium, we are seeing some sideways trend here. So what are the levels you're watching for, if there is any pick from your side, and if there is any wind you're watching for?
Piyush, in the metal side, I think there is a lot of factors being there. Recently with the report from ILSG, we're talking about lead and zinc being there in a deficit in 2018. It gives me a sense that metals would be the place wherein every trader and investor would be there for 2018. But having said that, I think a near-term correction seems to be there on the cards for every other metal, because it has risen very fast. You talked about lead, zinc, aluminium, copper for that matter. So I think as far as lead and zinc is concerned, we think a little bit of correction seems to be there in the cards. 213 is what it's trading at. As far as zinc goes, I think a possible correction towards 206 is in the cards. Whereas as far as aluminium goes, I think 154 it is what it's trading at. I think we would possibly avoid aluminium, take into consideration the Rusal sanctions being there, being delayed for some time. I think news flow is something which would possibly drive aluminium prices from here on. So if you ask me best out of one pick in the entire metal spec, I would play on copper. I think we see copper heading lower towards 440, 444 mark. While the second metal that if you ask me to choose, I would possibly choose nickel. I think we would be on the short side for nickel. The possible target would be lower towards 900 mark. So I will be seller in both these metals.
So well, Prathamesh very clearly has a sort of bearish view on. Thanks a lot, gentlemen, both Prathamesh and Tapan, for providing all the insights into what we should be expecting on oil, precious metals, and the base metals there.